Welcome to today's episode of Welcome. We'll be talking about brain development and the impacts of alcohol, and also more exciting things later on. But first, we start at Kermode Friendship Society and talk about the International FASD Awareness Day that happens on September 9th.
We're trying to think, okay.
We'll just look like really happy people.
We are.
Okay, welcome everybody. We are here today at Kermode Friendship Society, the Baby House, and I'm here with Louisa Gray, who is the coordinator of the Aboriginal Early Child Development and Infant Development Program, and Lisa Lawley, who is the coordinator for Circle of Life. And both of them I've had the privilege of working with them on planning the International FASD Awareness Day for many years now. So Lisa, did you want to share a little bit about why is FASD Day commemorated on September 9th?
FASD Day, why we do it on September 9th is because of the 9 months in the womb. So, we ring our sirens, or we start with the drum of the opening morning on September 9th, at the 9th hour, the 9th minute, so at 9:09. It's just to represent that they're 9 months in the womb.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really great. And you mentioned that there is drumming. In the past we did sirens, but it's actually changed into drumming and prayers to open at 9:09 on September 9th.
Well, when I think about it, how loud the sirens were, and it was kind of overwhelming at times too, and so we felt that maybe it was better that we actually started off more in a calmer sense of a prayer and the drum, where we drum 9 times.
So we actually come together. So this is a day, I think this year it's on Tuesday, I believe. And we start the day at the arena.
The arena with the breakfast. And the breakfast is going to be at 8 o'clock, I believe.
8:30.
At 8:30?
Okay.
Okay, and it's pancakes and
sausages and eggs.
And you actually, as part of the planning and organizing, you actually get quite a few people from the community to come and help serve, and then kind of include them in the whole event. Do you know who is kind of committed to coming?
Our mayor, for one, Mayor Dave
Pernarowski.
Yep, and Rob Austin is going to come this year. We've had Nathan Cullen show up too, and just come and help serve and just be a part of the morning with us. MCFD, the social workers there, they come and help sometimes and flip pancakes. Different organizations have come to support us through NIFKIS and gosh, I don't know.
Even RCMP.
Well, RCMP have come and Make Children First, and they all come and kind of help out in that day. But we kind of are the ones that get the ball rolling with it.
Yeah. So we kind of talked about what's happening, but why? What's so important? Why do you put so much effort into planning this day every year?
Well, I think we mix. We don't want to be totally serious for the day, so we mix a lot of fun things into the day. But I think it's a real different way of bringing awareness to the community and to the public about fetal alcohol syndrome. Yeah.
And for me, because of having children born that have been diagnosed with an FASD, for myself, it was bringing forth awareness to other mothers, to making it safe for them to come forth and ask for help or get their child diagnosed, because it's been years and years of shame and guilt and blame that mothers have felt that, if society keeps doing that to our mothers, they're not going to come forth and get the support they need. And for me, telling my story was always been about, if I can help one woman come forth, to get the support she needs, then I've done what I've, my job. I know we've done that over and above. And that for us, this year our theme with speaking our truths, is about 5 women, and I'm very proud that they're all Aboriginal. But no, it's not an Aboriginal issue. That these 5 women have built the strength enough together to support each other, to speak out about it, and not be ashamed or hide from our history. But it's to bring forth the knowledge and understanding about the struggles, and some women not knowing they were pregnant, or just being able to help and make our community understand women, and how do you change that perception of, if you see a pregnant woman walking down the street and she's intoxicated, what do you think?
Right.
What is your thought right away? Oh, she's bad? Or do you turn your thinking around and say, what's going on with her? What is happening in her life for her to have to self-medicate while she's pregnant? And how, as we as society, can we support her?
Yeah.
Or how can I support her?
Right. So important, because I think working with you guys over the last 10 years on the event, I have really learned so much, right? Because as you said, you see a pregnant woman, maybe she's intoxicated. So easy to look at a picture black and white. It's like, oh my gosh, what is she doing? But understanding both the historical impact and sort of the situation that she might be in, really figuring out as a community what role we can play to support her and the environment that she's in. And maybe also the other thing is really courageous for yourself or other mothers that come forward and actually share the story, their story, and the impact, right, and everything. And then the other piece is, how can we help children that are, and people in the community that are affected by FASD, to maybe change how we do things, or how services are delivered, or how we even look at people. So I've learned so much. So I really appreciate that, because as you said, it's not an Aboriginal issue. Brain development is a universal, and we all the first, even during pregnancy, the brain starts developing. So would you say that there is, sometimes there's a discussion about what's the safe amount of alcohol? Is it pretty safe to say that it's the ideal is actually no alcohol during pregnancy?
I would say ideally it would be no alcohol during pregnancy, because alcohol affects the fetus in different stages and different stages of its life in the womb. And that's something I've learned at university, and really made sense, because I also drank while I was pregnant. So that's how come I was so interested in FAS, because I knew what I had done. And I think telling my story gives hope to other birth mothers. It gives hope because they can see that we can go beyond the self-blame, the guilt, and they can look at our children and say, that they can see that our children are succeeding in school and succeeding with jobs. And so some of the mothers who may have drank while they were pregnant, they might be really feeling so guilty that they have to live with this every day and wonder what's going to happen to their child.
Yeah, the Circle of Life program was that you actually started that, and to help and support mothers.
Yeah, it's to help women struggling with addictions to reduce the number of children born with an FASD. That's the biggest goal, but the goal really is to help these mothers, to support them, help them create some goals for themselves, and it's them that leads the way. It's not us. It's them. We're their cheerleaders and connect them to services. And get to have those conversations with some of the moms about drinking in the pregnancy and that, and being able to relate to what they're feeling and the fear that they're having, you know, because, you know, there's times that you might have a woman who's still going to consume alcohol during her pregnancy, and that's a lot of her pain and unresolved issues from either childhood or what's going on in her life at this moment in time. So, you know, for us, it's about being non-judgmental. We don't judge her if she's drinking. If she's drinking, then we talk to her about harm reduction. What can you do to make sure that you reduce the amount of what could happen to your child while your child's in the womb? So we talk about drinking water between the drinks. We talk about making sure you're eating healthy. You know, to try and hold off on that drink, to take, you know, to start trying to make a plan. Sometimes, you know, we have some women who make certain plans ahead. So if I feel like I'm going to go out, this is a plan I'm going to do. I have to follow this plan before I'm actually allowed to go out. And sometimes that helps them stop going, wait a minute, do I really want to do this? You know, and so we've seen a lot of women grow and become strong, empowering women because they've had someone who believed in them and supported them and didn't judge them. That's the biggest piece, is women, you know, if they're feeling judged, they're not going to come and get support. So I've always said about that is, if a woman comes in and she's pregnant and we know she's consuming alcohol, you know, yes, we need to talk to her about the reality of what can happen to her unborn child, but we have to do it very gently and carefully, and it can't be about us, it's got to be about her. It's about her and what's going on, and that we can relate to her, that you know, some of us can relate to what they're going through. And I think that's that big piece. I think we've been really empowered because, you know, myself and Louisa and Jerry Lynn, we went down to Vancouver to present Speaking Our Truth. And we touched a little bit on history of our Aboriginal history to understand why Aboriginal women are why they are the way they are when it comes to consuming alcohol. And then we gave them our stories. And they were really in awe about that, I think, because we told them the raw truth of our lives. And we shared and opened up who we were to get them to have an understanding about taking a look at these women and not being so judgmental. It's so simple to be judgmental, but just to kind of be curious about what's going on in their life and how do you support them and help them. And I think we did a really great job, you know, and I was proud of us that we got to do that. And you know, unfortunately, we didn't get to have the other two women come with us. We couldn't afford to bring them down there for the conference, but up here we're going to have all five of us sitting together.
You know, the other thing that, because we are talking on this show, we're really reaching out to newcomers, people coming from all over the world and making our region their home. And I myself, I'm an immigrant. I've lived in Canada for over 20 years, and it was really not until I learned about the history and of First Nations people to really understand the struggles, because it's so easy to judge, right? So easy to say, well, why are people drinking, you know? But then understanding the history. And so here we are relating it to a brain development of unborn children. And it's so important, all those steps to understand. So I really appreciate it, because all of us, when we see people around the community, maybe rather than judging and pointing fingers, maybe learning, right? Learning and understanding.
What's amazing how many people, whether it doesn't matter, you know, whether you're from the Yellow Nation, Red Nation, White Nation, or Black Nation, when we do a lot of presenting, people come up to us and say, you know, my mother was an alcoholic, and I'm pretty sure she drank during my pregnancy, when she was pregnant with me. It doesn't matter what color you are, and it's not a First Nations issue. It is a global issue. People in France who love their wines, you know, and vodkas and all those, you know, all the drinking communities. Like, you know, Europeans are really big on their alcohol, because it's just what was brought over, and it was a lifestyle. You know, when you're looking at people who go curling, you know, or baseball or hockey, alcohol is always surrounded that. You know, when you go to someone's house, what do they offer you? They offer you a drink.
Yes.
That is such a natural thing, and people don't look at that. And you know, and one of the biggest things is that 50% of pregnancies are unplanned. So you get a lot of women saying, "Oh, well, I quit drinking once I found out I was pregnant. I didn't have any once I found out I was pregnant." Okay, well, how many weeks were you before you found out you were pregnant? Were you 6 to 8 weeks pregnant? So in that 6 to 8 weeks before you found out you were pregnant, what kind of alcohol were you consuming? And people don't like to ask that question, right? Because they have to take a really good look at themselves and go, "Oh, I did drink," you know. But then they get scared and they get concerned, and it's like, well, you can't do anything about it right now. You kind of have to wait till they start to get a little bit older, your children, and then start seeing if there's any disabilities, and then to start questioning that. But keeping your eye open on that. And I mean, that's how I learned about FASD. I was in denial about drinking in my pregnancy. And then it was all of a sudden, I was taking this training on FASD, and I'm like, And so I kind of thought, you know, I think one of my friend's daughters is affected. But then I started looking at my friend's daughter, and then I looked at my son, I'm going, they're so alike. And then I had to sit back and I had to look back at my life and look at what I was doing. Because yes, every time I found out I was pregnant, I stopped drinking. I wouldn't touch a drop. I wasn't looking at what was I doing before I found out I was pregnant. You know, when I was young and wild, I was, who doesn't like going out to the lake and, you know, having a few beer, or a few too many, or whatever happens, or you're out camping with your friends, or whatever's going on in your lifestyle, you know. And so having to sit back and take a look at that and go, oh, wait a minute, I did consume alcohol. I was, you know, especially when you time it, oh, summertime, this is what I was doing during the summertime, you know, so. A lot of us don't look at that, and I think that's where women need to take a look at and be aware. So if it doesn't matter whether you're affluent woman, whether you're middle class, or where, you know, low income, if you consume alcohol while you're pregnant, your child can be born with an FASD. It doesn't matter, you know, how rich you are, how poor you are. Alcohol knows no boundaries. Right?
So it's both social drinking and during difficult times and different things. So best to stay away.
Yeah, if you want to get pregnant.
Save your brain cells.
Yes, well, if you want to get pregnant, then you need to stop drinking before you start to get pregnant. And if you want to drink, then you need to be on some type of contraceptive so you don't get pregnant, right? So those are those two things. I mean, it sounds easy, but it's not. There's so much more dynamics that's going around in a family, you know, and so that's just hoping that if you're wanting to consume alcohol, then make sure you have protection. Right.
So back to September 9th in our community. As you said, we are not always making it. There will definitely be a panel that people will share their experiences. So we'll start at 8:30 with breakfast. Then we have the 9:09. We'll have some prayers and drumming, and then we'll start our panel. And then continue in the afternoon from 2 to 5 in the George Little Park. And then if people want any more information, they can always come to Kermode Friendship Society, find you guys.
They can ask any one of us in Kermode. I think we all are, everybody's used to it now. Like Kermode's, our day, FASD Day is one of our big events that we, you know, that we've been fortunate that our executive directors and board have just stood behind us in pushing this forward. Would never have been able to do that if they didn't believe what we had to say and how important our awareness is.
And I think, as you said too, it's so important, even though Kermode is leading the planning of it, it is really a universal, global issue of alcohol doesn't discriminate, and so does anybody can, as humans, we can become pregnant anytime. So it's sort of important to keep an eye on those things and be aware, and at the same time support, not judge, understand, don't point fingers,
and giving people hope. I think it's so important. Because part of my story is that I believe I have FAS too, FAE at least, and showing the community my accomplishments, like graduating from university and having a job like this. And even though I've never been formally diagnosed, but I know because my mother admitted she started drinking after my oldest sister was born, so she drank with all of us. And so, you know, it gives hope to the mothers and the children that know that already, and other adults that know that their parents drank with them. It gives them hope, I feel. You know, I know for myself, last year was the first time I was on a panel for a long time. I'd been on a panel before, but last year, after I spoke on the panel, I had many come up to me and say, "And you graduated from university?" Because not many people had really heard my full story, and that I included myself in that, because I myself am FAS, and you
Look
know.
at you.
So, and my children are the same. Like, fortunately, like my son, you wouldn't know that he was affected. And, you know, I've come to the point now where I wasn't one of those mothers who stopped after they found out they were pregnant. I just kept drinking. The days that I was my childbearing years, it wasn't really talked about then, so I just kept drinking, and I was really fortunate, I guess. Like, I take a look at my son, and he's like, you couldn't tell, but who knows, like, FAS has so many different symptoms, you know, and there's so many hidden symptoms that the facial features and the physical features are just the tip of the iceberg, you know. All the other stuff that you can't see, you know, the damage that's done internally, the brain.
The ability to learn and concentrate and all those kind of things. I feel we could actually talk for hours. There's so much I would want to ask, but you know, maybe we'll come together again. And I know that you're working on a workshop and different things, because such an important issue. If we can give children the best possible start at the start of there, then they don't have to climb mountains and but I also, as I said, understanding, as you said, understanding why things happen. Yeah. So overall, I think we need more understanding community and supportive, right? And that's what part of this day is, to come together. So welcome. Thanks for joining me. We are today at Terrace Sunflower Daycare on the south side of Terrace with Harpreet Gill, who is the owner. And what we're going to talk a little bit about Harpreet's story of coming to Canada, and most of all, talking about the Art of Human Learning project, which will really explore and celebrate and showcase how children learn and continue on our exploration of brain development and child development. So, Harpreet, thank you very much for letting us come
my pleasure.
to your daycare.
You're welcome. Yeah.
What a wonderful, exciting, creative place. I feel like I want to play all day.
Oh, thank you. That's what we do.
Excellent. But maybe we'll start a little bit with your story. As we were briefly talking, you moved to Canada in 1972.
That's right. That's correct. I came in Canada in 1972, and I was very young. I was very attached to my own home. I came with my parents, and this was very new place, and not speaking the language, that was quite an obstacle for me. First couple of months, I didn't like the place. I cried and I wanted to go back. I told my parents to take me back, but unfortunately that was not the idea that they came here with, so I had to stay. So in order to continue, make my stay here positive, I had to do all the essentials first of all, I need to learn English. So
Right.
I did.
And so you
I went to
moved
school.
from India
Yes.
when you were 14.
Yes.
So yeah, that's definitely
Very
having
young.
lots of friends, and I think I think my story too. The first couple months I was crying, and I thought, oh my gosh, what did I do?
Right.
And many years later, we're still here. Yeah.
Yes.
So
yeah.
you started learning the language, and your family lived in Prince Rupert to start with.
Yes, at that time we lived in Prince Rupert for a few years. At least I would say probably 5 years. And in those 5 years, I learned the language. I went to school. I received my high school diploma, and I also worked at a few different places until my dad moved to Fraser Valley. He got a job there, and I followed him. And there I went to Fraser Valley College and got some post-secondary education. And then, of course, I got married and I came to Terrace.
Oh wow! So kind of
Yes.
came back, almost back.
Yes, I was back. Not Prince Rupert, but Terrace.
Right, right.
And this is my hometown since 1981.
Okay. And then you opened the daycare fairly.
No, I worked at different places before I became an early childhood educator.
Okay.
And that's when I got my early childhood educator license to practice and did my daycare.
And what kind of got you into the field of early child development?
Well, after doing a few different works here and there, I volunteered for Clarence Michael School and working with children, and that's where I said, I think this is a profession that I want to follow now. So I contacted a local college, Northwinds Community College, and there was early childhood education courses going on, so I got myself enrolled in it.
Oh, excellent.
Yes.
And you now have been running the daycare for
Many years.
many years. Excellent. And many happy children.
Many
have-
happy children, yes, and I try to make their lives happy, and they made me happy.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so this year, I really appreciated that you came on board to participate and be part of the Art of Human Learning project, which the Art of Human Learning is in October at the Art Gallery. We'll be putting on a display of how children learn and exploring all of that. And Harpreet, you're encouraging and you're observing and encouraging the children that you work with to actually display
Right, yeah.
their projects and what they have learned and how they are learning and stuff.
Yes.
So is there some, and what I understand is sort of the learning stories that you have always been doing that, always looking at, observing how children learn.
Yes. Well, I went to John Trekke's classes, and that's where I learned how to do learning stories. And learning story is just enhancing child's work into stories. And our children are very talented. Young children, they could be very cute, and they say very amazing things, and sometimes we get very surprised. And in order to put, excuse me, and they inspires us with what they say, what they do, and putting that inspiration on a paper and making it like a story is quite a thing. And this Art of Human Learning project that I am involved in, it's going to be showcased at the library in October, and we try to encourage other early childhood educators in town as well to become part of this project. I know in our working days, things happens every day. Every day children are doing something amazing, and we can just pick one thing, one child's amazing learning, and put into story and bring it out like in their actual artwork or their project they're working on, like could be painting, could be paper mache, could be sculpting with clay or Play-Doh, and and questioning the child in a positive ways of what is happening there, and putting it into a story. It would be, and that's what the story and what the child made. It could be dance. The child is dancing, and just catch it in your camera or iPads, whatever electronic device you have at your center. Catch it and put it into a little writing. So when we showcase it, the viewers will be able to understand what is happening in that little showpiece. So that's what we are working on, and I do encourage that other early childhood educators will take part in it, and we will make this project a very sort of like a again the word showcase for the public, for ourselves, for our authorities, you know, to show them that young people, young children, their play is a work for them, and how they get, how they represent themselves, how they represent their work and their surrounding environment. So I think this is a very good project, and I'm very happy to be part of it. It is very difficult for us in our busy working days to do things like this, but I think if we can be a part of it, that will be very amazing for this community.
Thank you for joining us during this episode of Welcome. Children are really the most precious gifts, even on the tough day. And no matter where we live, we as parents and caregivers are shaping the future of humanity. So thank you again. Hopefully you'll learn something about brain development and the importance of early years. And we really encourage you and your family to be creative and to submit a project for the Art of Human Learning. You can contact us at Skeena Diversity or at Make Children First, and we'll let you know how you can participate. But regardless, if you put together a project or not, just be creative, have fun, play together, and love your children. Thank you very much. Let us know also what you would like to see on Welcome, or if you would like to share your story. We're always welcome to new ideas. Until next time, be creative, have fun, and see you in September.